Hello, welcome to this fragrant little crevice of YouTube. I appreciate that crevice is not the most romantic word, but this is hopefully going to be a romantic video because Valentine's is around the corner. It is only a week away, and so of course there are an abundance of Valentine related fragrance videos popping up here, there and everywhere, because why not? Why not smell amazing around Valentine's? Whether you're celebrating Valentine's with your whether you're celebrating Valentine's with your significant other, it's just nice to listen to someone talk about some really pretty romantic fragrances that don't have to be for St. Valentine's. They could just be for any time of the year. Even if you think Valentine's is a load of old guff, here's some pretty fragrances to look at. I'll keep it really simple. I don't have a long list of romantic fragrances. I don't have a long list of rose fragrances. I've got 4 fragrances to show you and to share with you, and each one is a choice of what kind of occasion I might end up having. There are no plans as far as I know, but in the eventuality of having perhaps 4 different options, I've got 4 fragrances here that I think will be absolutely fine and beautiful depending on what we are doing. Nothing too crazy. I mean, we both work. We're talking normality here. I'm not going to start dreaming of going to Paris or staying in some fancy 5-star hotel with a Michelin star restaurant here. There's none of that going to happen. That's just the realism. There is, however, one treat in this video that I do know about and can prepare for. We have an additional element to this video in the form of Mr. Jon Snow from the channel Jon Snow, and also from the channel Scented Snowdrops from Instagram. We decided to do this video together actually. It'd be a nice little collaboration. I guess he was just feeling in the mood for Valentine's. I seemed quite eager to be part of it and offer you 4 of his own choice of fragrances for said scenarios from his own romantic perspective and plans, so we'll see what he chooses. I'm going to start things off with the first fragrance. So the first scenario will be to go out for a lovely good old-fashioned pub dinner. We've got some beautiful country pubs around our area and you could pick from any of them and they're all pretty decent. The lovely fire burning in the corner. We've got a proper country feel to them. I just love that whole environment and atmosphere. So a nice posh dinner in the pub. That's public house or bar to our American friends. I'd want a fragrance that was cozy and warming but still quite punchy but romantic and sweet. And the one I would choose for that setting is one from Exaltatum, and it is called Ruby Wood. And Ruby Wood is a beautiful, dense, rich raspberry and wood fragrance. This one has got so much punch. This tassel here, it doesn't come with a tassel, I'm afraid. The tassel was part of the packaging on the box, and I've kind of fashioned a elastic band here just so I can put it on the bottle because it just looks adorable and I think it suits it. This smells like dark red. This is deep dark red. There's a powdery element to it. There's definitely a sweetness to it, but there's also a real tartness to it as well. And I often think of it as my dark red berry wine. There's no sort of tannin scent to it. It's not bitter, but there's just something so rich and dark and both juicy and tart at the same time that I think of just a really dark red wine. This one to me is also cozy and warming. It's got a sweetness. I will list the notes on the screen because I can never remember notes in any fragrances. Certainly the raspberry is what I've always picked out, and the moment you smell it, it's incredibly loud, incredibly sharp, but the sweetness starts to really flow in. And I love the woodsiness in here as well. It gives it a little bit of dryness in the base. It's just very opulent smelling. As soon as I smell it, I'm just in a pub on a cold night with a fire going in the corner, and you've got the smell of the woods. The dark red quality in this scent just brings that romantic ribbon of loveliness. Cozy and sexy, and it has definitely got an opulence for me. So that is my cozy romantic dinner in the pub with the significant other, Ruby Wood from Exaltatum. So John, over to you. What are you picking?
So yeah, thanks for that there, Lizzie-Beth. Now, as we all know, Valentine's isn't really for us all, because some of us have some quite kind of miserable kind of Valentines. So for a similar sort of scenario from me, let's say, you know what the relationship is, it's gone, hasn't it? A miserable Valentine's night, so you both decide to go out. She's off out partying with her friends, you're off out with your friends too. We all know she's off out with Horace, the plumber, really. He's over there quite often sorting out our pipes, isn't he? You know what I mean? Yeah, so you're off out really with Delilah. She's the lass you met in the local pub and you're off for a night in the hotel, why not? So you're going to wear Tom Ford's Noir de Noir. Noir de Noir is that kind of brilliant, kind of illicit, kind of meet up with someone you probably shouldn't really be meeting up with. You know a visit to the hotel is. You're not going to be playing Scrabble all night. So you need something kind of very seductive and very sort of, it gives that impression of why you might be wearing that. What's that? It's not like that Fragrance du Bois one, I can't remember what it's called now. The French word for a kind of illicit meet-up. Don't know why it's escaped my head, but that smells nothing remotely illicit or exciting. Whereas Noir de Noir puts you on that edge, that kind of... And even the missus kind of knows where you're really going whenever you wear that fragrance. I mean, you used to wear it when you first met her, didn't you? So it's got that kind of suggestive nature, the kind of Turkish delight, dark, seductive rose, and a little bit that earthy, dirty patchouli. It's just perfect for that sort of a night out. Don't need to waffle on. We all know Tom Ford's Noir de Noir has a bit of a wink wink nudge nudge about it all, doesn't it? So for my kind of evening out for a meal, but not with a significant other, would be to Tom Ford's Noir de Noir.
So romantic scenario number 2. This is more if Valentine's fell on the weekend, if I'm honest, or if we had time off on the day, because this is more of a daytime activity. Now, my husband absolutely loves cycling. He's been cycling forever. He's a sort of overgrown Boy Scout, if you like, and he loves being outdoors. He knows all surrounding areas like the back of his hand, so he'll find the most intricate, difficult, but I suppose exciting routes, not just in this surrounding area, but pretty much most of Surrey. He's cycled it all, I'm sure. And although I don't cycle anything like as much as he does, I do enjoy it occasionally, and I know I'm going to be in good hands and have a really great little adventure. So if Valentine's was on a day where we can take time off, it would be lovely to have a cycling adventure. I do have a fragrance that I think I would love to pair with that experience, and it is both romantic and outdoorsy and perfect. I'd pair it with a fragrance called Tobacco Rose. Hello Nimbus. Tobacco Rose is a really beautiful, opulent, mossy rose. It's got a vintage twang, a vintage chypre bite to it. There's no tobacco listed. You get a phantom tobacco feeling from different notes. You've got a beeswax note, you've got peribalsam, you've got moss. They all bring this almost dewy, damp, fresh tobacco scent. The rose in here is very velvety. It's seamless with that kind of tobacco nuance, so you don't really get an obvious rose. I get like a shade of red within this sort of green scent, and it's a sort of velvety, it's a velvety red, dark red rose petal that's seamlessly blended in this tobacco nuanced moss and woods and this beeswax. Again, it has a kind of opulent feel, very outdoorsy. This is really any time. This is outdoorsy, daytime, evening. I've worn it on so many different occasions, but I think certainly for a Valentine's occasion, outdoors cycling, I think this would embody so many beautiful elements of that day, and this is the perfect one that I would choose anyway. So Tobacco Rose by Papillon Artisan Perfumes. John, over to you.
Another alternative for kind of not really spending Valentine's together because you want to kill each other and argue is of course a trip to the in-laws, where you can't argue, can you? You're kind of trapped. So instead of a kind of cycle out in the lovely beautiful fresh air like Lizzie's doing, is a kind of a drive to the in-laws. And of course across Britain's roads, that in itself is a torture chamber of horrors, isn't it? Sat on the motorway for 4.5 hours not moving anywhere, strikes here, there and everywhere, roadworks that never seem to do anything, just trapped in the car, just you and her, sitting silently, hearing a tut as you turn a certain direction, or you put the indicator on slightly late or something. So you're deliberately going to wear a fragrance to drown it all out, to kind of put you in your own little bubble where nothing else exists, and you need something. You need a monster of a fragrance. You need a fragrance that's going to repel. Well, I don't know if it would repel people away from you, but they're not going to get close to you. And that's Amouage's Interlude Man. Now this fragrance is a bonfire of herbs. That's the hardest bit really, and that lasts for about 3 or 4 or 5 hours. These burning, is it oregano or oregano as Americans call it? That's kind of burning, and it's a little bit bitter, but it's the smoke. The magic of it is the kind of smoky burning woods like bonfire night, and it's kind of got even a sweetness from that. It's absolutely a magnificent fragrance, minus the oregano, which is why I don't own it. Need to smell what am I even talking about? Interlude Man Black Iris to see if it's tamed them herby things. Then I think I'd really love it. I mean, this is by the by. I've got a clone of it where the herbs aren't in it. Magnificent. But yeah, it will irritate her even more in that car. She's not going to have any escape from your fragrance. Her parents are going to be, did they hate you anyway? Come on, which in-laws ever like you? You know, you're not making their little princess or whatever happy. Who cares? I'm going to wear black Interlude Man. Don't come near me. I don't want a hug from you. Hate you. Hate your daughter. Just, yeah. Interlude Man is that kind of perfect one for that miserable drive along the motorway to see the in-laws. Right, thanks.
So my next fragrance is the perfect pairing for what is probably the most likely scenario on Valentine's Day. And it's going to be as simple as getting home from work and ordering a takeaway, shoving a film on, and if I'm really lucky, playing Monopoly. I've got a beautiful Monopoly set in the style of Game of Thrones. I've never ever played it. I've got no one to play it with. I'm really sad, and he's been promising to play this blooming game with me. But the most likely thing we'll do is order a takeaway and watch a film. Can't beat that when you've had a long day. I mean, that is the nicest thing to do. My kind of fragrance that I think will just enhance it. The fragrance here from Panna London. It is a beautiful, delicious treat, and it is called Pink Marc de Champagne Truffle. So these only come in 30ml bottles, but they're absolutely adorable and they're quite potent. So it's not something I would spray very often. This is definitely for a special occasion. I think I've only ever worn this on Valentine's days, so anything that's gone there is probably from the last, 3 years of Valentine's perhaps. This fragrance is a sweet, decadent, chocolate-covered raspberry truffle with champagne. There is also a note of rose in here, giving you that extra bit of opulent pinky redness in the scent. Gives it more dimension. Rose and raspberry are such a beautiful combination, and if you coat it in chocolate and bring this sort of champagne-esque nuance around it as well, what could be more quintessentially romantic and Valentine's? This is often compared to Gourmand Coquine from the Art and Matière fragrance line from Golan. I've never smelt that one, so I can't compare it, I wouldn't know. But those that have tried both have said it's a good alternative. It's very, very sweet. The booziness gives it a kind of shiny surface. It's just got a nice finish basically, and it does project as a really, really beautiful, delicious little scent. So that would be my sort of inverted commas Netflix and chill with a significant other. My other significant other is meowing at me constantly. Aren't you, Nim? What's the matter? So that's my choice for a cozy night in. John, what have you got?
Okay, so one last effort, why not? You know, food in, and you know, a nice night watching the TV, what she wants to watch. So yeah, we'll put on a movie, some crap like Pride and Prejudice or something. Well, do you know what, I like Pride and Prejudice, let's not go there. Some awful Disney movie, and you have a takeaway. Inevitably, the takeaway from Dodgy Dave's Takeaway gives you food poisoning, and you've both hated it. You've both hated sitting there with each other. You've had to order what she wants to order just to kind of take away the argument. So it's some greasy, horrible fish and chips. Tastes nothing like cod, let's be fair. So yeah, to kind of hide the kind of awful smell of both of you having food poisoning, taking it in turns to redecorate the bathroom, I think a good fragrance for that would be Angel Nova from Mugler, which is this. It's a synthetic, disastrously sharp nuclear kind of block that you'd put in the toilet to hide all the miserable goings on that happens in a toilet. And I think it's just, again, yeah, just perfect for that. It's this synthetically scratchy, horrendous raspberry, a big dose of hairspray, a big dose of toilet cleaner, and it's nothing that would ever exist in nature, all squelched into one bottle. And but it would hide the smell of all the leavings, if you like. But it's one of them things, like toilet duck has this memory with me. I won't go into why toilet duck makes me want to vomit, basically, but you know what that smell hides, and that's what Angel Nova is. You know what that smell, that horrifically loud, sweet, awful smell is hiding. So for a nighting and food poisoning is Mugler's Angel Nova.
So option D, my last scenario, my husband comes home and I have the most beautiful bunch of roses. That to me is fantastic. I love my roses. I love anything rose. So assuming none of the other things happen and my husband just comes home and has a bunch of roses for me, that's amazing. If he knows me well enough, he'll hopefully buy something a little bit unusual. A white rose, a light pink rose, something slightly off colour. I wouldn't complain if he bought me some red roses though, because you know, that's still really lovely. A fragrance that I think is absolutely beautiful, and one that my husband really loves on me. He doesn't notice any fragrances on me usually, but when I wear this one, he always seems to comment on it. A beautiful fragrance that's pretty with roses is one from Zoologist, and it's one of my favourite fragrances in my entire collection. It is called Nightingale. This is such a beautiful chypre. Now you've got to be into your chypre fragrances to appreciate this one, because it is incredibly vintage. It's really got that whole profile. It's very sharp, it's very woody, it's very mossy, and again it has that kind of vintage twang, like a tanginess to it, quite sharp, but it's so beautiful and invigorating, and it still has such a prettiness from the other notes, other than the mosses and the patchouli and the woody elements. There is plum blossom. I always get mixed up with cherry blossom here, but it's actually plum blossom. And you've got your rose fruits up the top, which would of course make it into a classic chypre. It's full of life, this one. It's just so zingy and stunning and timeless. But I consider it my more opulent, edgy, special signature scent, and it's one I would love to wear on a Valentine's Day when I've got no expectations. I'm just carefree, rolling with it, and I want to kind of match the scent to something that, you know, there's a possibility that there could be a nice romantic evening ahead. So John, over to you. What beautiful romantic fragrant treat will you end this video with?
And the final one is obviously buying flowers at Valentine's is quite romantic and blah blah blah. Now as a single man, I have a bit of a thing actually. I do buy myself flowers, but I end up drying them out. I'll buy pick wild spring flowers. I've never picked a bluebell, honestly, but dried bluebells and dried kind of lilacs and dried whatever you can get your hands on, daisies and all of that. They're actually lovely, and I've got, obviously you saw in the little clip there, I have dried flowers, dead dried flowers all over my house. I think they're quite lovely. I think they're quite kind of just beautiful in their own way. It's what life is, isn't it? Even after we're dead, the beauty lingers on, or something like that. And they do have a certain kind of slight smell about them. They do, obviously, if they're not cared for properly and they decay, they have a little bit of a smell about them. And I think it's kind of representative of my love life, isn't it? Just them dry, decaying, dead memories that linger on forever, but are still kind of beautiful in the mind, because you block out the kind of awfulness of them all. And I think a good fragrance for that, it doesn't smell bad in any way, I need to point that out. Boys 4160 Tuesdays, Court of Ravens. Was thinking I have a few that kind of have that little bit about it. Not like a kind of bloody dog. I'm back. So yeah, that was a kind of symbolic wet one that stinks. But yeah, Court of Ravens, going back to that. It's this kind of musky, dried roses. if you imagine it, it's like, to me again, it's this walk across this Gothic castle in this old kind of, if you like, graveyard with all the dried dead flowers and just crows and ravens everywhere, and that kind of animalic smell, and the patchouli's really strong, and that kind of soily earth, that kind of bit of dirt and that, and it's, yeah, the dried flowers, it's just got this beauty about it, this serenity, and yeah, it's a place I'd like to be. So that's 4 kind of dried dead flowers of life is for 160's Court of Ravens.
So guys, thanks so much for watching this little fragrant romantic video. Thank you so much to John. I hope he made you feel warm and fuzzy and romantic inside, with lots of beautiful romantic fragrances to enhance your day. So whatever you're doing on February the 14th, have a fantastic day, fantastic evening. Thank you for watching. Over and out.
Thanks for letting me be a part of your wonderfully romantic, lovely Valentine's video, Lizzie. I wish I saw Valentine's as beautiful and loving and great as you saw Valentine's, but generally it's just some overpriced commercial crap that has absolutely no meaning whatsoever, does it? Everything just doubles in price around that period, and apparently it's the only time you can buy the person you love a gift or take them out. Dunno, call me a cynic. Valentine's is not the commercial corporate holiday for me. Well, it's not even a holiday, is it? It's just some pointless thing like parents, you know, Mothering Sunday, Father's Day, isn't it Grandad's Day and what have you, Easter, another meaningless festival that kind of stomps over a pagan festival and charges you loads of money to buy chocolate eggs that have no meaning whatsoever. And then we move on to some other nonsense throughout the year. Halloween, which is ripped off from some other really meaningful festival, which again is a time to spend loads of money on plastic crap. And then we move on to Christmas, the biggest of all crappy crap holidays that poos on the doorstep of another beautiful pagan festival. Wasn't even when he was born, it wasn't even his birthday, but you spend loads and loads of money buying people you don't really like stuff just because you have to, because they bought you stuff. So yeah, thanks for letting me be a part of this Valentine's video, Lizzie Bet. Happy Valentine's to everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful romantic evening.